Trump has picked anti-vaccine activist Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. In a statement, the US president-elect says, for too long, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation and disinformation. RFK Jr. dropped out of the presidential race and endorsed Trump.
So Donald Trump has picked Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be his next Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. This is the man who wants to remove fluoride from drinking water. He says he killed a bear in Central Park, and don't forget that he's anti-vax. He will destroy our public health infrastructure and our vaccine distribution systems. This is ridiculous. This is going to cost lives. He has no scientific or medical credentials. Just another Trump ass kisser. God help us. Tell me what you think about this appointment or this recommendation. Let me know in the comments. Peace.
Trump picks RFK Jr. to be his Department of Health and Human Services Secretary. For those of you who aren't familiar with this role and why it's important, maybe you should check this out. It's made up of 13 supporting agencies, employs more than 80,000 federal employees, includes 10 regional offices, and addresses the needs of communities and individuals served through HHS programs and policies. HHS administers more than 100 programs across its 13 operating divisions or agencies. Administration for Children and Families, Administration for Community Living, Advanced Research Projects Agency, Administration for Strategic Preparedness, Agency for Healthcare Research, Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease, the CDC. And just look at all these other federal agencies: Food and Drug Administration, HRSA, Indian Health Services, NIH, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. What are your thoughts?
Donald Trump has nominated RFK Jr. to be the next leader of the U.S. Health Department. RFK Jr. is an anti-vaxxer, a conspiracy theorist, but has a mean push-up game. You got to see the video. But this does mean that measles, mumps, polio, tuberculosis, and leprosy are going to come back to the U.S. like it's the 1870s before penicillin was invented. So if you are someone that has been worried about your health and saw people didn't wear masks, just wait until no one gets their shots. It's going to be like the sickest place in the world, but instead of the sickest place in the world, which used to be Donald Trump's head, it's just going to be the whole United States.
It's too much going on. What the fuck? Stop! Oh my God, what the fuck?
We're poisoning this whole generation. Shouldn't we be talking about that? Shouldn't we be talking about the fact that we have 1,000 ingredients in our foods?
President-elect Trump has just announced on his Truth Social account that he is picking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be the next Secretary of Health and Human Services. This comes after RFK suspended his third-party bid for president and endorsed Trump in the final months of the campaign. Of course, RFK is an outspoken vaccine conspiracy theorist and has often repeated claims about vaccines being linked to autism.
All right, it is official, people. Trump has picked RFK to be his Department of Health and Human Services Secretary. That means he's going to be overseeing the FDA, the CDC, the NIH. This is amazing. Trump said this is the most important role of any administration, and the HHS will play a big role in helping ensure that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to the overwhelming health crisis in this country. RFK is going to make America healthy again. If he can pull this off, this is going to be such a big deal for our families, for our kids, just making our everyday products so much cleaner and safer for everyone. I can't even believe it. I am so excited.
Yeah. And he's He's been there for 50 years, so he's like J. Edgar Hoover. And the only way that you last in that agency for 50 years is by carrying water for the pharmaceutical industry. And under his watch, he's supposed to prevent autoimmune and allergic diseases. Under his watch, chronic disease has gone from affecting 12% of the American population to 54%. We take more pharmaceutical drugs than anybody in the world. We pay the highest prices. So he's made this country pharmaceutical nation.
Yeah, my brother's allergic to sesame seeds.
But, exactly. And the way that you get allergies is from the aluminum adjuvant in the vaccine, which is put in that vaccine to initiate an allergic response. And so if you have sesame seed oil as an excipient in the vaccine, or if you're eating sesame seeds when you have that aluminum adjuvant in you, it can provoke a permanent allergy. And if you look, you don't know anybody who is my age who has food allergies. Very, very hard to find. I think it's 1 in something like 1,300. And today,
today
if you're born after,
kill half a football team.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Everybody's
after
got a
1989. So anybody who was born after 89, I think it's 1 in 12 now. Autism went from 1 in 10,000 in my generation to 1 in every 34 kids. And it's the same with all these chronic diseases that are all listed as side effects. The Moderna vaccine was completely developed by Tony Fauci. He hands it to a private group. They put $2 billion of federal money into allowing them to develop it. And then Tony Fauci's agency keeps half the profits from the vaccine. Oh, it would be like, I've sued EPA many times for being a captured agency, but, what would it be like if EPA made half of its profits selling coal?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. These agencies are not independent agencies. They're completely captured. And you have, all of the other institutions of government that should stand between a greedy corporation and a vulnerable child have been compromised. Congress gets more money, lobbying money from the pharmaceutical industry than any other industry. They give them double what oil and gas. I'm talking about lobbyists. There's more pharma lobbyists on Capitol Hill than there are congressmen, senators, and Supreme Court justices combined. The regulatory agencies have been captured. The press is utterly captured. And that's because in 1997, we passed a law in this country, or FDA, changed the regulation.
Trump chooses Robert Kennedy Jr. to lead US Department of Health and Human Services. President-elect Donald Trump has chosen Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a vaccine skeptic, to be the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services. Writing on social network X, Mr. Trump said, "I am pleased to announce that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will be the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services," and affirmed that Kennedy Jr. will be the person to make America great and healthy again. Kennedy Jr., 70, is the son of former Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy and the grandson of the late President John F. Kennedy, both prominent politicians of the Democratic Party. Mr. Kennedy Jr. ran as an independent candidate in the 2024 White House race, but later withdrew and switched to supporting Mr. Trump. He has been criticized for making false claims, such as linking vaccines to autism, opposing social distancing measures during the COVID-19 pandemic, and spreading misinformation about the virus.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. reportedly plans to fire 600 employees at the National Institute of Health. Should he fire more? And are you glad to see this administration come in hot and start cleaning things up? And if you want to get some free Trump stuff, go to freetrumpstuff.com. You can get shot glasses like this and whatever else you want.
Hey y'all, another 15-second news. This is an exciting one. President Trump has announced that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will be the new Secretary of Health and Human Services. We're going to make America healthy again, you guys. God bless America. And, I got the job.
So breaking right now, President-elect Trump According to sources, will soon announce that he will choose Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Health and Human Services Secretary. That, according to a source familiar with the incoming president's plans. He mentioned RFK Jr. in his victory speech, saying that he will help to, quote, make America healthy again, and, quote, we're going to let him get to it.